The crew of a Star Trek show has always been one of the crucial ingredients determining the success and endurance of the series. How audiences connect and respond to characters is so important. So with 6 series to compare with, today I'm asking the question, will the characters in Picard stack up to what's come before? Hi guys, welcome to the channel. So the first thing I want to talk about with this topic of the crew for Picard is that they're unlike any other crew we have previously seen on Star Trek in the sense that they're not part of Starfleet, they're wearing civilian uniforms. Every other Star Trek show we've seen in the past, whether it be original series, Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise or Discovery, they're all part of Starfleet. They're all uniformed officers, they've got to adhere to a code, and it's pretty clear looking at the trailer for Picard that these guys are all in civilian attire. It's a kind of off-the-books mission, and they're not part of a Starfleet vessel of any kind. So this aspect alone will make this show have quite a different feel to other Star Trek shows. Patrick Stewart has made it quite clear that there will be no Enterprise at all. It seems like what I can gather from the trailer that Starfleet will be a minimal presence in this show. Beyond what we see in the trailer of Picard kind of going to them and asking for help and being kind of denied. From the clips in the trailer, it would seem like after that moment, he's kind of off and putting together a ragtag group of non-Starfleet people on a non-Starfleet ship. So this could really have a big bearing on the tone and flavour of the show, which could well be a very good thing. I mean, we've seen this kind of thing before, in a sense, with the Firefly or Serenity series from Joss Whedon. And that was a great show. Short-lived, only did 1 season, but the characters in that show and the crew was fantastic. It's one of those shows of sci-fi that everybody wishes that it had gone for more than 1 season. So it's quite possible that this crew will mirror that tone and flavour, you know, and be very successful. Now, the producers have also showed us in the trailer that we've got Data in there, we've got Troy in there, we've got Riker in there. But from what I can gather from the trailers, it seems like they're essentially cameos. Picard will be stopping off while he's maybe putting his crew together or whatever and saying hi to Riker and saying hi to Troy. I don't get the sense that those characters are going to be part of the entire season. It's kind of like a drop in and say hi to old friends we know kind of situation. And similarly perhaps with Data. A lot of those Data clips from the trailer we've seen do seem very much like they are dream sequences. With that in mind, we've got a lot of other characters that are going to be part of the crew. So we've got Chris Rios. He seems like he's the captain and pilot of this ship that Picard enlists to help him on his mission. And he almost seems like he's a bit of a Han Solo character, maybe a bit of edgy, kind of a loose cannon. I think there was a clip of him, you know, chewing on a cigar in one of the trailers, I think. So he seemed like a bit of a rough around the edges, kind of, you know, does things the way he wants them to do kind of character. We've got Raffi, who seems like she has a history with Picard because Picard is chatting to her and I think she says something to the effect of another one of your off-the-books missions, which implies she's gone on one of these missions with Picard before. We've got Alison Pill as Dr. Agnes Jurati. Now, Alison Pill is a great actress. I loved her performance in The Newsroom, the Aaron Sorkin series. She was fantastic in that. So I have high hopes for her character. We've got Elnor, the Romulan, who kind of looks like a lot of people are calling Romulan Legolas from Lord of the Rings, who's, you know, in every shot of the trailer, he's standing there like a Jedi with a lightsaber. So he's obviously going to be the sort of spiritual, perhaps skilled warrior character. We've got Dahj. I'm not exactly sure of the pronunciation, but I think it's Dahj as the mystery girl that Picard's trying to help. There's not a great deal you can get a sense of her in the trailer. Most of the shots of her in the trailer have just been her kind of looking dreamily off into the background. So it's kind of very hard to gauge what her involvement is going to be. And obviously that's for a reason, because this whole mission centers around her. They're keeping that pretty under wraps. In terms of recurring characters that seem like they're going to be involved a little bit more in the mission are, of course, Seven of Nine, fantastic Love Jerry Ryan in Voyager. Obviously, the Borg are going to have a pretty important role in this show. So involving not only Jerry Ryan as Seven of Nine, but also Hugh Borg, the Borg they rescued in Next Generation. It's great to see these characters back again. I think in some respects, I think the fact that Seven of Nine is in this is kind of the get out of jail free card, because kind of everybody knows she's going to be great. I hope she's involved as part of the crew for the whole course of the season, and she's just not in kind of one episode and then, something happens to her and she's not in it anymore. That would be a huge shame to throw such an amazing character on the scrap heap or underutilise her in any way. So I'm really hoping that Seven of Nine has got a quite strong thread throughout this show. So what makes a crew work? Well, it's mainly to do with how the audience connects and responds to the characters and their interactions together. One thing that Next Generation always got really right was the characters and the casting. The characters on that show and also the actors portraying the roles, you could tell that everybody cared about what they were doing. They cared about each other, and that strength came through on screen. When thinking about the characters, one thing I think has been lacking with Discovery is character recognition. Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, and even Enterprise. Within a few episodes into the first season, you kind of knew who everybody was. Everybody would get their episode where you get to learn about them, you get to learn about the characters, learn a bit about their history, backstory, what makes them tick. I recently watched the short treks that are out at the moment, which primarily feature Pike and Number One and Spock and so forth. And I couldn't help thinking, this is the show I want to watch. Even though we haven't seen a huge amount of screen time with these characters, in the short time that they've been introduced to us, I already know their names. I already have an emotional connection to them. Half the cast of Discovery, 2 seasons in, I couldn't even tell you what the names of some of those characters are. Obviously Burnham, Saru, and Tilly. They get a lot of screen time. The other characters, I got to scratch my head and think, okay, you've got the engineer who runs the spore drive. Is it Stammens? It's either Stamets or Stammens, I'm not sure. I can't tell you. There's the girl with the cybernetic implant on her face. No idea what her name is. So in terms of the other officers that serve on the bridge of the Discovery, I don't know what their names are. They've never been given enough screen time to actually learn about these characters and for me to connect with them as individuals and interact with other crew members and actually, learn a bit about them. Pike even made a point at the beginning of the second season to do a roll call of the bridge and have everybody go around and introduce themselves. But even after doing that, I still don't remember their names. They're essentially glorified extras. That's where Discovery has kind of fallen over a little bit for me in terms of I just don't care about any of the characters on the show because I don't know them. We haven't seen enough of them to kind of get a really strong connection with that crew, I think. And that was one thing that the other Star Trek series all did so well. You got to learn the crew. You got to go with them on their journey. So I think the screen time that Pike and Number One and Spock characters have been getting in these short treks is kind of putting a spotlight on Discovery and say, hey, you guys need to do better. In terms of past Star Trek shows, the other series didn't have the endurance of the other Star Trek shows. Was Enterprise, and I think that was largely to do with the crew were never as strong in Enterprise as they were in the preceding series. I think all of the captains from Kirk to Picard to Sisko to Janeway, they all had a strong level of screen presence and gravitas about them. These were people you wanted to follow into battle and that you would lay down your life for. I always thought Archer was a bit of a wet blanket, to be quite honest. I thought, yeah, he's okay, but he's kind of more first officer material. He's not kind of captain material. And I think, I remember back watching the show, whenever he kind of got up in arms and he was having a go at a crew member, I just felt like I wanted to laugh in his face. I just couldn't take him seriously. Whereas with Picard, you did something to disappoint Picard. You did something to disappoint Janeway, and she was having a heartfelt word with you to reprimand you. You really felt for these people. There was a real strength and a real weight that came with these characters, and I just didn't feel that was present with Archer in the same level that it had been in all of the previous Star Trek captains. And much the same as Discovery, there's a lot of cast members that were kind of just meh. The helmsman, the linguist, the security chief, they were kind of just bland characters, that never really had anything interesting about them. So the show ended up focusing primarily on the relationship between Archer, Trip, and T'Pol, because they were the strongest characters on the show, and everybody else just kind of, except for maybe the Doctor, who was good value, kind of disappeared into the background quite a bit. And that's clearly what's happening in Discovery. And I really hope that the crew in Picard doesn't suffer that same fate. Patrick Stewart has openly said that he wants this new show to reflect our current time. It seems like in the trailer, maybe Starfleet isn't what it used to be. Maybe the ideals that they used to stand for have fallen by the wayside a little bit, because it would seem from the trailer that Picard was getting quite irate at the Admiral in her office. And that would be a reflection a little bit of in terms of our times, where the way the world is at the moment, people are frustrated at bodies of authority, at governments, at leaders, for not conducting themselves perhaps in the way that we expect that they should. Because we have so much connection with Picard from all of his previous outings, that emotional weight is going to be there from the get-go. But it'll be interesting to see if that translates to his new crew. There's always going to be that comparison, I think, because we know what Picard's first crew was like. So this new crew in the show, everybody's going to be thinking, are they as good? Nobody's going to go into watching this show wanting to hate them. Everybody's going to go in with expectations to love these characters, and I really hope that's the case. So I think the bottom line with this show is, it doesn't bother me that they're not uniformed, part of Starfleet, they're not flying a Federation starship. Providing the characters are good in the show, they are given enough screen time for us as audience members to connect emotionally with them, I think the show will succeed. I really hope this show is going to rise to match what's come before, even exceed some more recent incarnations of Star Trek. So what do you think? Do you think this crew is going to kind of stack up? There's 6 other crews to compare them with, and they've got a lot of history to contend with. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let's get the chat started. What do you think? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and don't forget to check out some of my other reviews and videos on Star Trek Picard. And I'll see you next time.